You're tuned in to the Breaking Red podcast, the show for rising military leaders who want to trailblaze the future. We tackle the profession of arms with creative solutions to dynamic issues. This isn't your typical leadership course, so be ready to step up your game and define the future. I am your host, Gabriel Gabe Roccavilla. Let's go. Welcome back, everybody, to the Breaking Red podcast. I am your host, Gabe Rock, in a great mood. Just finished a certain amount of highly caffeinated coffee. Right now, it's Death Wish coffee. I have a couple bags of Double Dead coffee that I got from Alaska, and the caffeinated portion helps, and mainly because it's become my weekly ritual that every Sunday morning I wake up, have my highly caffeinated coffee, and I write. And I write on my website, projectrise.co. So not projectrise.com, projectrise.co. And this episode is going to be focused on talking about that, exactly the point of the website, why I originally started it, and the eventual challenge that I set myself through the website. So here's some background on that. So early on in my second Squadron Command tour, I decided to start up a blog to just as a source to capture and share my thoughts on leadership. The drill itself was actually just more designed for me, and I did it without necessarily the intent of making it into a certain platform for potential passive income, and I'm slowly but surely figuring out exactly how I'm going to implement that strategy, but that was not the original intent. The original intent was just me writing down my thoughts, and the drill of writing them into a somewhat coherent blog post was a good drill for me, because it would make me have to sit down and type and write exactly my thoughts out and come up with either the summary scenario or how I wanted to come up with presenting a certain topic, but still writing it the way I wanted to. And that was kind of cool. And part of it, when I launched the website, it was not, some people knew about it, some people didn't know about it, and I didn't really care necessarily about driving audience traffic towards it, because that was not the intent. The intent was more just personal for me and just kind of sharing my own thoughts out there. But eventually I started to use it as a platform to share exactly my official thoughts, if you want, officially from me anyway. They're not necessarily officially from the Air Force, officially as me as Squadron Commander. They were just my thoughts. And I use it as a platform to talk about my things of leadership, things about coaching CrossFit, things about my functional community. There was actually times where I was posting products on there, and my first initial drafts of them, I was using, for lack of better words, official Squadron letterhead. And I started posting stuff out there, and leadership was in my functional community. We were like, yeah, so I don't know if Gabe should be doing that, because it looks like it's going to become, me as a sitting squadron commander, that does carry a certain weight if I was going to put my thoughts, my notional thoughts on, company letterhead. And so they highly advised that I stop doing that. And so I took their word, and all I did was rebrand my thoughts into my own version of, so instead of using the Squadron slide deck template, I ended up making my own. It's like, okay, so this is now my personal thoughts, of which I can still put out there, and yielded the same positive benefits. And so I would post them to our functional, 17 Delta cyber officer page, and then to elicit the same sort of conversations that I was going to have. It just wasn't coming from officially as the commander, but everybody knew. So in any case, that level that was one of the indicators that I'm like, this could be something that could be seen as a positive thing, but I have to be very deliberate in what I choose to do to post on this website, because certain things are going to be, I need to be comfortable with the decisions that I make and the topics that I cover on my website, because I was developing a platform. So the writing discipline, I've done it for about over 35 weeks. And I usually, through the life of Squadron Command, I have always something to think and write about. And so it wasn't without lack of subject matter. It was just making sure I set and prioritized this goal to continue to write consistently. And I kept on doing it. And so if you look on the website, you'll see that the posts are in chronological order. Probably not the best looking website, and I get that. But I was trying to figure out ways of just doing stuff on my own without necessarily being held down to wanting to create the most perfect thing. I just wanted to put something out there. One of my previous supervisors told me that perfection is the enemy of good enough, and I really, really like that. At certain points in time, you just need to put your best effort forward. It doesn't have to be the perfect effort, but just do something. And so that was, and I continued to do that through Project Rise. So in March of 2019, I had this idea where I was watching a hiking video, and within the video, it was pretty much all the hiker videos that are out there. This is like their full-time job on YouTube. And I'm not interested in being a YouTuber, but I was interested in necessarily how could they do this as a full-time job. And one of the ideas was, in order to make passive income, the YouTuber wrote a book about hiking. And so the challenge was Homemade Wanderlust, and the author is Daisy, and she wrote a book about the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail. And so she offered up that book based on her experiences and sold it, and ended up making money as a side hustle in order to support her ongoing business. So I was kind of sitting there enjoying a glass of scotch, and I was watching with my wife, and I was like, well, that'd be kind of cool. Could I write a book? What would I write a book about? How can I make passive income? And I was like, well, I already write things on my blog about Squadron Command, so maybe I'll write a book about Squadron Command. Yeah, that actually sounds kind of like a fun challenge. And so if you look in the episode notes, you'll see that I actually wrote this and published it as a post saying, like, yes, I'm going to give myself a challenge. By the end of 2019, I'm going to write a book about Squadron Command. Mainly, it was just a very, very initial thought. Like, no, I'm just going to write a book and continue to write. And I still am on that path. And right now, I have a general outline of what I want to talk about, and the focus of the book is going to be an updated version of how to be a successful squadron commander. And the perspective is going to be unofficial. And so as I started to solicit some of and just share my ideas out there, I was asking personnel for like editing. I was asking for recommendations for editors and how else can help me write this book. And I have a lot of good resources. And a lot of people were saying, well, you could probably go through Air University, or you can go through a certain organization like PACE and just be like, oh, they already have certain places like that can help you along the way to make your book. And my thought was, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in necessarily having someone shape what my narrative is going to be. I'm sure the resources are great, but I wanted it to be just for me, purely my thoughts as a squadron commander of what I wanted to talk about, without any influence from academia or established leadership systems. Mainly because I just think I didn't want to be held back on those things. And so, just going to be an unofficial book about Squadron Command with my thoughts, unfiltered. And I definitely want to make sure that it comes out as a polished product, but it's going to be my product. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. So my weekly posts on projectrise.co are actually my almost like draft chapters within the book. If you follow the outline that I have sketched out, and the link's going to be in the description, you can see sometimes each weekly post does actually follow the outline, and other times I just get inspired to talk about something else. If it's a significant event that gives me an emotional response, especially when it has to deal with duty-related things, my blog posts and my blog are my almost therapy in order to process my thoughts and just write down my things, and just it became a weekly discipline that has helped me a lot. It has helped me figure out my thoughts. I would share and talk with other people to see, like, am I off? Is my thought process based on reality, or am I missing something? And all those conversations culminate into the blog posts themselves. I would get some feedback from fellow squadron commanders, and sometimes they didn't know that was going on in my life, or they were surprised about things going on, and we would always have great conversations. And this is where the roads between Project Rise and then what this Breaking Red podcast is going to be about is I have a lot of good conversations with a lot of other people, and just my own thought processes. And I believe that this podcast is going to serve as another platform for me to share my thoughts and experiences and share with everybody just my perspective and what I think can work and not work. And I'm interested in learning and knowing other tips and techniques in order to just become a better leader and a better person. And so this is how I want to bridge both of those platforms together. Along the way, I'm going to be writing this book, and again, how to be a successful squadron commander. And this is going to be different. It's not going to be like the previous books that you could probably learn about within PME, or you can get those books and I'm sure they're fine. But mine's going to be a little bit more like a chronological reference book. And so I want to talk about over a typical 24-month tour. And so if you're a overseas squadron commander or deployed one, and you're only for 12 months, just read the book, but then you'll be able to you have to do everything faster. The idea is to go over some of the issues and concerns and just things that are going to go along across that 24-month tour. So like the first things within the first 3 months, and then at the 6-month point, the halfway point, and then the downhill when you're almost going to be ready, and how do you transition for the new person that's going to replace you, and all the ups and downs that go across that entire tour. That's how the theme is going to be written. And to my knowledge, nobody has written that perspective. And so I'm going to be the first one to go out there and put my thoughts down. And a lot of it is going to be just things that I agree with and the things that I don't agree with within the established norm of squadron commanders. And my goal is to enable people to think beyond the idea of how they need to fit into being a squadron commander. Instead, you've already been selected to be a squadron commander, so clearly you already have the moxie in order to perform in that capacity. But you need to figure out a way to how to do it and deliver it genuinely. And that's not easy. But if you put the right work in and you have somebody to help you along the way, I think the ride can be a little bit less bumpy, and you and the team will get a much better return on investment on how your squadron command tour is going to be effective. And so it's going to be, I'm looking forward to it. I think the book is going to be definitely something that people are going to be interested in reading. And Project Rise itself, the website, is going to become a different platform for that blends with Breaking Red podcast, and how we can just build this larger community in order to become better leaders. And that's what I'm most interested in. I'm very passionate about sharing my message and sharing just an alternative sort of perspective on how we can be good leaders. Alternative doesn't necessarily mean good or bad. It's just me putting my energy out there of what I believe in my unique method of delivery as well, how we all can be the best that we can. And Project Rise, the name comes from just the tagline behind it is Rise to Your Potential. I think all of us have hidden talents and techniques that our Air Force needs, our local communities need. We just have to figure out how to best enable those. And I believe the best way to do that is you remain individual to yourself. Only you can be the best version of yourself. Nobody can be a Gabe Brock. Nobody should aim to try and be in Gabe Brock. I think the Air Force would implode if we ended up having two of me. And there's for good reason, right? And the diversity within our force offers a lot of personalities that could be based on understood values, obviously, and a certain kind of culture, but our personality is what's going to make our individual personalities are what is going to make our Air Force even better. So yeah, that's going to be the book is going to be good. ProjectRise.co is going to remain as the hub, the platform for all of the creative things that I choose to do. So check it out, ProjectRise.co. I'm working on some subscription lists, and so if you don't want to miss anything going on in conversations, both either Breaking Red podcast episodes or my weekly blog posts about leadership or anything under the sun that I want to think about, make sure you sign up for the subscription list, and I'll keep you up to date. And what are there things related to this episode? Are there things related that you would like to see within a book about Squadron Command? I mean, what are the common failures you've ever seen or personally experienced that you'd want to advise new commanders to avoid? Again, I want this to be a reference handbook or a manual for people aspiring to be Squadron Commanders, on the cusp of becoming one, or even one just like if you're already been selected to be a Squadron Commander, or if you're currently in and serving as a Squadron Commander. you can look at this you can look through this book and just be like, oh yeah, here's some stuff that I'm feeling and this is written from someone who has actually run this race twice. So run this race twice. I don't know why that sounded really weird, but yeah, the drill is going to be really good at just writing the book. It's a lot of therapy for me, and it's great therapy. Something about doing written things is different from doing spoken word. And now I'm getting to enjoy both here on the Breaking Red podcast. So check out all the links in the description. And this is going to end today's episode. So we'll talk to you soon. Peace. This is Gabe Brock, and thanks for tuning into the Breaking Red podcast. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review so we can improve our work and deliver the best content possible. You can find our community platforms on Facebook and YouTube by searching for Breaking Red Podcast. Keep up with weekly content at our website, projectrise.co, and you can find me on Instagram at GabeRock01. Like, follow, and share Breaking Red podcast content everywhere possible, both the good and the bad. Join our conversations with other rising military leaders that aren't afraid to break red and learn how to rise to your potential.